Welcome, everybody, to the Real Dealz podcast, one of the top real estate investing podcasts on iTunes for the last 7 years. This is the place to be for investing strategies you can actually use, expert interviews, and, of course, some good old-fashioned entertainment. Now, here's your new hosts, Elliott Smith and Cole Rudd Johnson.
What's going on, Real Dealz podcast listeners? I think we got a good show today. I'm actually going to do a monologue where I'm going to kind of dive into, if I was still working a full-time job, so 40 to 50 hours a week, how would I make $100,000 a year on the side? Because I think there's a lot of really good things going into this episode. You know, a lot of people talk about wanting to quit their job and like, that's the goal, quit your job, blah, 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 and then you make all this money in real estate. But there's actually a lot of people that actually really like their job, and having a job is not a bad thing. Right. So I'm pretty excited for this episode and just kind of giving you the rundown of like what you would do to make that $100,000 a year. Also, we get back this week with another couple recorded phone calls where I kind of dive in, dissect the call, give some feedback. I think it's a guy that works actually in my own business. So I think it's just a great call segment. I think he does a really good job. He is younger, still learning some things, but all in all, I think you're really going to get a lot of value out of that. But before we get into all that, let me kind of go through and tell you what's going on in our business. So exciting week for me, actually. Right now I'm in Palm Springs recording this podcast, and just a lot of really cool stuff though this week. So on Monday, we were able to tie up a 24 unit for a really good price for what we feel like. You know, I think the seller's getting a good price, and I think we're getting a good price as well for the circumstances. And so really excited about that. I wasn't really looking for any more multifamily right now. My wife and I have just really been focusing on stabling what we do currently have, but this kind of fell into our lap. So I've been working it for the last maybe month and a half. I've been working with the seller, you know, no pressure, just kind of go back and forth, seeing if we can put something together. And then we walked the property on Wednesday, and we're very pleased with it. We're moving forward. We just have one more. We have a plumber coming by to take get in the crawl space and look at it. But if you're following me on Instagram, I did post it on my story. I will post pictures of that stuff. So go check out my Instagram page, Elliott Smith, REI, and you'll get to see kind of like some of the deals we're doing more as they're happening. And then Monday night, I actually put together a call with some, you know, local people that were looking to invest in some real estate projects. And I have a good buddy that's doing a large townhome development in one of the towns that we live in and we invest in. And, you know, I have set up a couple of calls with some of my buddies that I know that might be a good fit for investing in this project. It's a 7-figure invest is what we're looking to raise, but it's like feel like it's a really good project. And so I was able to do a phone call. We had like 10 people on the call. I was on with my buddy. He kind of got to give the nuts and bolts, and I got to kind of, you know, talk about, you know, the deal and ask him questions. And I was kind of like the mediator between the two, right? So like I'm asking him questions and then like also trying to explain things in a different light. And really, when you're doing those investor calls, you're not trying to sell anybody anything. Like, you don't want to feel like you're selling somebody, like you're selling this, like, you know, gold rush opportunity. But you're really just trying to say, hey, look, we have a deal. The deal needs capital. And how do I put it in basic layman terms so it makes sense for you to understand? And people are really, the main thing they're concerned about is who's the operator? How is my money secured? And what's my return expected? And, you know, how long should it take? And really, but there is more nuts and bolts because they want to know about the project, the viability, you know, what's your plan, the exit strategies, what happens if the market turns. Everybody's kind of nervous right now about, you know, what if the market turns? You know, everybody wants to be a pessimist right now in a certain sense because we've been on a long bull run in the real estate market. So is it going to turn off in 6 months, 12 months? Did we hit the reset button with Corona? You know, what is it? And so really diving into that. And that was maybe at some point in the future, I'll release that call. We did record it, and I think it'd be a really good call just to listen on raising money. But I kind of want to wait till the deal closes first. But it got me thinking a lot, because I have a lot of friends that I've made over the last couple of years with networking and now the podcast and the call center. And so I have a lot of guys that I know that have big deals that they're doing or deals that they need capital. But then I've also been able to build relationships with capital. And I'm like, man, I really like this. Like, I really like trying to marry money to a deal and a deal to money. You know, it's the whole thing. You can't have one without the other. And so I was helping my buddy pitch this deal. I'm going to be able to get some equity on this deal based on me bringing value to the deal. And it's pretty exciting in the sense where I know enough about real estate that I can spot what is a good deal, what is a good operator. I do a lot of research. I do background checks on guys that are, I'm partnering with and things like that, and really understanding do they know what they're doing. And so I can vet the deal and I can talk the higher level points with them, but then I can also come back down and talk on a basic level about what this looks like, the nuts and bolts, and how people are going to be protected and grow their investment. So anyway, it kind of got me thinking that I enjoyed that. So we'll see where that kind of takes us. But really, man, just a good week, busy week, really busy week. Tucker and I did a show today on the Bigger Pockets Business podcast, and it was all about call magic. So that was really fun. That was with Jay Scott. So, but now we're down here in sunny Palm Springs for a couple of days. Gonna take a kind of a little break and kind of unwind, and then get back to it next week when we get home. So hope you guys enjoy the show, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, Real Dealz podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Iron Bridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Iron Bridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Iron Bridge for a very long time. I've personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Iron Bridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did.
Yes. Honey, I spoke with my husband and he said no. He
said
can't
no.
do it for that low. Yeah, he said no. He's no. He goes, in that case, he's like, he goes, because we only owe very little. He goes, last time was 19, so I know that it dropped a little bit. But he's like, I'd rather just then get a loan and just fix it myself and sell it for the price that we're going to sell it. He goes, no.
Do you know what he would consider if we can come up a little bit?
I did tell him what was the lowest, and he told me the lowest would be 140. He would not budge down. He's like, no.
Oh, really? So the lowest he wants to do is 140, and we're quite a bit ways lower. So yeah, it would definitely be tough.
So what Tony does here is just outstanding. So you'll hear from the very beginning of the call where he's super excited to talk to her. It's his friend. He hasn't talked to her for a while. So, and then throughout when he's talking to her and waiting to hear her response from the offer he made, his voice inflection changes quite a bit. So he kind of gets disappointed and he's like, oh man, well, what would he do? And then he's like, oh, we're way far off. And then he talks to her and then he pauses and let her talk. And so really what he's trying to find out here is he's not really trying to sell her, but he's really trying to find out information of how we can make this deal work and really what they're looking to get. So he does a great job actually listening, but then also having the tone of voice where he's like, I'm on your team. So really good job here. And I think there's a lot to learn just in the first 2 minutes of this phone call.
Yeah, because he goes, no, he's like, Martha, in that case, he goes, I'll just fix it up myself. He's like, I'll just find somebody and fix it up. He goes, whatever needs to be fixed and stuff and upgrade it a little bit. He goes, and I'll just sell it for a bigger profit. He goes,
yeah.
and I'm like, okay.
Here's a crazy idea. What if we paid for closing costs and everything like that? Would that help maybe bring him down a little?
Let me ask him.
Find out what he wants, after everything, no fees in his pocket, and we'll make it the easiest sale of your guy's life. All you would have to do is basically sign, and you don't have to worry about us coming in there and saying, fix this, repair that. It would just be straightforward and simple.
Okay. Let me tell him.
Okay. And tell him, listen, if
let me try to.
Yeah, because I know you want to sell it.
Yes, I do. But he's the one that, in other words. So let me see what I can do.
Okay, talk to him and tell him if he can move to a place where it makes sense for him and you. We can have escrow opened as soon as let's see, tomorrow would be Friday, so maybe Monday, and money in the bank account that quick. So
okay, let me ask him.
Yeah, find out and shoot me a text back
after 2, because I have
Perfect.
therapy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Physical therapy?
Okay. Yes, I fell from the roof, so I got that. I tore my meniscus, so I had surgery on it. So I'm going to therapy.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I had a few knee surgeries myself, so I went through maybe years, probably years of physical therapy for my right leg. And as long as you stay with it and do your stretches and listen to what they tell you to do, usually come out pretty good. Was it bad?
Well, it did for the whole meniscus and stuff, but it's just I got that Baker's cyst also, so that pouch. They have to drain off the water, and that pouch keeps getting filled and filled every week. So that's the only thing that hurts more, draining that pouch, the Baker's cyst.
Yeah, that's tough. Hopefully you don't get what I have, but when it rains, the day before it rains, I can tell I'm better than a meteorologist or better than a weather forecaster. I can literally tell when it's going to rain the day before it happens. I just start feeling it.
That's happening to me. It starts to hurt. Before I didn't have no pain, and now it's it's pain but more stiff. So when I put on my jeans, I can tell that there's something wrong because my knee is swollen. Super. And my husband's like,
it's crazy.
Hello, I wear jeans, and one side of my jeans you can see that it's baggy, and the other side is just full and tight. So yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
But,
oh man, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But how long do you have left to do physical therapy on it?
I have 6 more therapies.
Okay, so that's not a lot. That's not a lot more.
Yeah, so hopefully
you're kind of towards the end.
Yes, I'm already towards the end. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I got a high ankle spray on my right side, and then the torn meniscus on my left side.
Oh my God! Soon they're gonna have to wheel you around.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I still admire you. I can't believe all the amount of work you do. I can't believe you were on the roof.
Yeah. Well, I was changing some cameras because I was updating my cameras in the house, and I'm always if I don't like something, I change it, and my kids are not with me or my husband's not with me, I do it myself. I don't like to wait.
You can't wait.
Someone to come and do it for me. Yes, I like to do
I'm the same way.
Right away.
All right, so from here on, he's just kind of building a little bit more rapport. Probably what he's probably doing is he's probably talking with the lady just a little bit too much. So from like the 5-minute mark, he talked, she brought something up and he's like, oh, tell me about this. And like, physical therapy. And then he like built rapport and like, I have done physical therapy before because I got injured and started going into it. And then he built rapport. So I think he did a really good job pulling that out. And like, he's her friend, like on this call, he's like talking to her like it's his friend. And, so I think there's a lot to be said about that. People want to talk to somebody. They want to tell people stuff. So once they start talking to you and like you have some shared common like struggle, like they relate to you a lot better. The only thing I can say is, there's 2 more minutes of him talking with her, and there's probably like too much time at that point. Like if you're going to be efficient with your time, like you don't need to build 6 minutes of rapport or like continue on that conversation. So I think that would be the only thing here. So we're going to hop into the next call where we try to get like a little bit closer on the price, but I did cut off some of this call. All right.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes.
Hey, there we go. Are you about to watch the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah, no, same. We'll make this quick. Partner, we went by the house. Nice tenants. We were trying to come up to 140 to make it work. After he walked the property to see if he'd be able to do it, I know he's not going to be able to do 140. Is there any way you can, we're in a lower range. Is there any way we can get wiggle room on this? I mean, we'll put $5,000 down, non-refundable. So, the second we come to an agreement, we'll close on it, and 2 days after the tenant, we'll close on it 2 days after the tenants leave, and kind of be out of your hair for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he will budge down because I got him to budge down to the 145. To the 140. I don't think he's going to budge down more.
Well, is it all right then? Maybe if in a few months I touch base with you, we would love to do it. We'd love to help you guys out, but it's got to make sense. We're close, but we just know 140 is not going to work.
Yeah, because he will not budge for 135. I don't think so. I don't think. I don't know what price were you trying to do, because I would need to tell him. I'm not going to be telling him, 135, and then you guys tell me, well, no.
Yeah, we're definitely around 125 to 130. If you can make it somewhere in that range, we would 100% be committed on it. We'll put $5,000 earnest money, non-refundable down, open escrow for you with local title, handle everything for you. You don't even have to come to the state if you don't want.
Okay, let me see. But 130 would be the most?
Yeah, that's definitely the best we can do on it.
Okay, let me talk to him. Well, let me give him after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, wait until after the Super Bowl. He's feeling nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully the team that he wants to win wins.
Well, he doesn't care for any other team.
Yeah, me either. Cowboys. Okay, good. Oh, yeah, of course. I wouldn't expect it any other way.
Yeah, so he's like, but we have some pot numbers, so we're checking. Yeah.
All right, well, hopefully hit some pots and then be like, all right, let's do it.
Yep. Okay, I'll let him know.
Oh, yeah, shoot me a text after or tomorrow, whatever, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Okay, and
all right,
the $5,000 are for what? For closing costs that you're going to put?
We put $5,000 down as a good faith deposit, and it's non-refundable. So if any reason we back out, for any reason whatsoever, you keep $5,000.
Okay, let me just to be in the clear. The $130,000 is going to be, but we don't have to pay no closing costs or anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need and then we'll close 2 days after the tenants are out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
All in all, Tony does a really good job here where he's like, I can't do that, and here's kind of where it's at. But right in the beginning of the phone call, she's like, okay, we can't go down. He's like, all right, well, can I follow up with you a couple months if anything changes? And then she's like, well, where would you guys be kind of like coming back to like, hey, she does want to sell it. So he's like kind of taking away like, hey, we're not going to come up anymore. I just don't want to waste your time or mine. And then, but he built good rapport. Like, are you watching the Super Bowl? Hopefully your team wins. Unfortunately, they're Cowboys fans. That's why we couldn't make this deal work, obviously. It's because they were Cowboys fans. So go Seahawks. But anyway, I think, short, sweet, to the point, a lot better than the last call. He knew she was doing something, so he just kind of got right to it. Better than the one where he kind of rambled on a little bit towards the end. But all in all, hopefully you guys get something out of this. And I think there's a lot of good things in these phone calls. All right, guys, this is going to be a fun episode for me. It's going to be a lot shorter than our normal episodes, but it's really that simple. How to make $100,000 a year on the side in real estate. So really, I think people make it seem like it's really hard, but it's really not. So I used to work a job at Franz, as many as you know that have followed along with me, that I really liked. I worked really hard, but I really liked it. I felt like they had my best interests at heart. I felt like I was going to grow with them, but that ended up not happening. But when we started real estate, that was our goal. We were just trying to make some extra money, buy some extra rentals, and build a rental portfolio. And so there's a lot of people out there that actually like their job. They don't want to quit their job. They're like, what else would I do? Like, what would I do with my free time? And like, not everybody can be like a flipper or builder full time, or, a full-time wholesaler, or handle the entrepreneur roller coaster. But I think a lot of people can go make $100,000 a year on the side, working maybe an extra 10 hours to 15 hours a week in real estate. And I think it's very possible. So I'm going to kind of unpack how you do that. And I'm going to try to be as much to the point as I possibly can. And then you can give me some feedback afterwards and see how it worked for you. So if I'm going to go, and my goal is to make $100,000 a year, I'm going to kind of figure out what I need to do. And so there's different types of markets across the country. There's high price point markets, there's low price point markets, there's middle price points. Everybody's in a different spot. So this might be a little different based if you're in San Francisco or New York versus Oklahoma City, right? There's a store, let's say Ohio. It's just going to be different, and none of them are bad or worse or whatever. There's just going to be a little bit more effort or more money, whatever the fact. So you're going to put more time and effort to find deals in San Francisco, but your spreads are going to be way bigger, and you're going to put more time and effort into finding more deals if your spreads are smaller on a lower price point market. But I give this advice to people all the time, and I get emails every week, 2 weeks saying, man, I did this. It worked. I'm walking a property tomorrow, or I just locked up this deal, or I just made $20,000. So I know it works, and I know that I could go be successful with no money in my pocket other than maybe $500 and go anywhere in the country and make this work. So first off, you're going to need to find a list of properties that you want to call. Now, people will tell you that, just go pull an absentee, or this list or that list, or this list is more special, or that list. Really, at the end of the day, there's no special, like super secret, like motivated seller list. Like, we have data company that we sell stuff and we pull lists, but there's no like, hey, call these people and they'll sell your house at 50 cents on the dollar. That list doesn't exist. So you have to go find the properties. So instead of going and paying somebody to pull a list, I'm going to go drive for dollars. And, that's Tucker owns the Driving for Dollars app. He actually owns a trademark, Driving for Dollars. And so it's been around for a long time, but I'm going to kind of go of how I would do it and how I build that list. So there's a couple different apps that are good, but if you're going to do a bulk list, and I'm looking at having you get 1,000 to like 3,000 properties. And so if you're going to do a bulk list, the best app that I use and I would use is the Driving for Dollars app. There's some other good apps out there that are better, maybe a little bit better. They get a little bit more information for the properties like that, but they're more one-off skips. Like, hey, I'm driving somewhere with my kids and I'm like, that's a good property or whatever. It looks vacant. And I want to use this app because it's going to give me a lot more information. But for the sake of what we're doing is we're just trying to build a decent sized list in more of a speed fashion. So I'm going to download that app, and I think you can do 2,000 properties a month for $3.99. So have it for a couple of months, get 3,000 to 4,000 names on there, and then just use it when you're using it. Then turn it off, and then when you are done, turn it back, or when you need to do it again, you turn it back on. So I'm going to get that app, and then I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to get on Google Maps, and I'm going to find a map, just start right around your house. And I'm going to put the map up on my screen, and I'm going to get it like, put it up close enough where you can kind of see the names of the streets. And then I'm going to print those maps off. And that gives me like a path, so I know which streets I drive. Because you want to make sure if you're doing this, you're driving every single street. You're not missing anything, or not, because you never know. The next street over, this street might have that house. And so you can also use like Google Follow My Tracks, but like you can't really use it if you're using the Driving for Dollars app. You can't use both at the same time. So I just print out a map, and I have a pen, and I just trace around it as I'm going. So we're going to do that. So we print those things off, and now we're ready to go. And I'm also going to have a yellow pad with me or something to write notes on or whatever. So just start driving, and you're going to go find properties that maybe they have a ton of moss on the roof, or the roof looks old, or they have aluminum windows, they have wheelchair ramps, they have the crazy radio antennas that are on their roof. The grass is overgrown, something like it needs to be painted. And so a lot of times, this funny saying is the carpet matches the drapes, right? But a lot of times it's true. If the house looks like shit on the outside, there's a good chance it looks like shit on the inside. And so that's showing a form of distress, like if the property's distressed a little bit. So that's what we want to focus on. So when we are doing, we're going to go call these people, we're only calling properties that are distressed, that we know that need work. And so that's the problem. When you pull our list, you're going to get a bunch of shit in there that might be a nice house, better for the retail market and things like that. You're building a list that you're going to spend the most effective time only calling properties that need to be fixed. So you go do that, and you're going to do it, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, or bust it out on a weekend. If you're to get 3,000 or 4,000, you could probably do it on a Saturday and Sunday. If you're married, have your wife go along with you. If you have a kid, throw them in the back seat, put a movie on, and just go to town. And so then now you got your list. Now I'm going to get Google Voice. I use CallRail, something like that. And that's something to just call people so I can track like a little bit who I'm calling. And then it also records conversations so I can listen to the conversation afterwards. Some states you might have to inform people that you're recording a call. So make sure you follow the guidelines as best as you see fit. It's only used for internal purposes for you. So you're just going to go listen to your calls later. So I'm going to get that. And they're really cheap. It's like maybe $30 a month for CallRail. Google Voice is free. And you're going to get that list, export it out of the Driving for Dollars app, and it's going to come with phone numbers. And so then you do it. So say you get home at 5 o'clock after your day job. You then are going to, for an hour to an hour and a half every day from 5:30 to 6:30 or 7, you're going to go sit there and you're going to do single line calls. And you're just going to call people and say, "Hey, John, Elliot Smith here. My wife and I were driving the neighborhood, and I just saw you own a property at 123 Main Street, and I was just wondering if you're interested in selling." And just go from there, and then be done. And let them say, "Yeah, I want to be interested in hearing an offer," or "No," or whatever, and just move on. If they say no, just move on to the next one, and make a little note on your Excel sheet like, "Hey, they said no." And you upload all these to like a Google Drive and just say no or yes or whatever. Make a couple notes there. And so the people that I'm going to call on that list first probably are going to be the absentee owners, the ones that have like tenants in there, because there's probably a lot of landlords that are like sick and tired of like tenants right now, like the eviction moratorium, things like that. Like it's hard to get people out. And the only way you can get people out in Washington is if you sell the property. And so this is a good time to call those people with shitty rentals that people maybe aren't paying rent or the tenants suck. And so I'm going to start there, and then you can go call the owner occupants, down the list. So you start that conversation, and you get a couple people or a person that's interested in selling, and say their price. You haven't given them a price yet, but say they're interested in selling at 80% of what Zillow says. So right now, you know nothing about rehab, you know nothing about anything, you don't have a buyer. You're like, okay, let me go talk to my partner and I'll get back to you. So now you're going to go to a local Facebook group, investing Facebook group, and you're going to go scroll there and find somebody that seems active, that's doing flips. Or you can go to List Source and find cash buyers, or you can call your title company and say, "Hey, can you pull a list of do you call a local title company and be like, "Hey, do you have any cash buyers that are doing a bunch of flips that you feel like are good people that you can connect me with, because I have a deal that I want to get in touch with them about." And the title company is actually a great thing because we use the same title company all the time and they know us. And so if somebody was to call in and be like, hey, I need a cash buyer, and they like us the best, they're going to say, hey, use this guy, or here's 2 numbers. So then you're going to call them and you're going to be like, hey, my name's Elliot. I have a property that I'm looking to like assign the contract. I'm just getting started. And so I don't want to waste your time or mine, but like I have this property that you know, you don't have to tell them the address, but I have this like 3-2 ranch, 1,000 square feet. You know, it needs work. The sellers are kind of around this price. Are you interested in possibly buying it? And like, tell me what you'd be willing to pay for it. And I'll send you some pictures or whatever. And then you say, yeah. So send them some pictures. I send them the address, like let them look, like whatever. If they're going to go screw you, they're going to go screw you, but they wouldn't have been referred to you by the title company, or they wouldn't be active on that Facebook group if they're out there screwing people all the time. So, and you only need 1 or 2 of these guys or girls. So it could be girl flippers too. So you're going to send them this thing and say, hey, what would you pay for this property? And if they're like me, I'll give you a price without walking it. Sometimes I might need to walk it, but if it's just a basic 3-1 ranch that doesn't need a ton of work, I know most of the time, like if it's 70s built, I know what I'm going to run into. I know my biggest issues I'm going to have. So like, I'll give you a price. I bought houses without ever walking them myself. So most experienced guys can do that. So they're going to say, I can pay you $210,000. Okay. Now you got a number. So you're going to go back to the sellers and be like, Mr. Sellers, we can give you 190 or 200 or whatever. Feel it out. You know, you can go up to like 210, even, you know, you have to make money, but you know, you have somebody that will buy it at 210. So whatever lower you get it for is your spread. So try to shoot for like maybe $5,000 to $20,000. And so then the seller says, okay, yeah, I'd be willing to sell it at 195, whatever. You're back and forth. And they say 195. Okay. Well, I'm going to call that same title company and be like, hey, do you have any contracts that I can use just simple contracts that I can sign this up with, or you can find one online or whatever. You're going to find a simple contract online. They're everywhere. And then you're going to get a simple assignment contract, and you're going to sign the contract with the seller. And then you're going to sign that contract with the assignment contract with that buyer. They're going to close on it. You have to maybe figure out if they don't want to buy with tenants, then you're going to have to work with them to get the tenants out. Sometimes we will buy with tenants in there, depending on like, you know, how hard we think they're going to be to get out, or like, do we have to pay them to go away or whatever. But the best time right now is to buy it with asking the tenants to leave. So maybe you wait a month or 2 months to get the tenants out, and then you close on it. But you have it all locked up in escrow. Everything is good. And you got earnest money from your buyer. They put the non-refundable earnest money down for the contract, anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. And so now you have that. Now, once it closes, you get $10,000, $15,000. So $15,000 is great. You do that 6 times, that's over 100,000. What is that? A little over 100,000. That's great. And so there you go. Actually, no, that's 90,000. So let's say, 7 times. You got to do it 7 times. So there's your $100,000 a year, and you're learning, and you're getting paid to learn in the process, and you're only doing it for a couple hours a day. Now what you do is you get that $15,000 and you don't spend it. You put it right into another savings account because you already are making enough income to cover your expenses, cover your bills, whatever. So you don't need to live off this money. So you pay yourself back for the money you invested, and then you put that in there, and that's your fund that you're saving. So then maybe when you get $60,000, $70,000 in there, maybe you find a house that's a paint and carpet house that you're like, I think I want to flip this, because you've kind of been watching along with this flipper, understanding rehab costs a little bit better, maybe walking their projects and understanding what the cost is to fix it. You kind of get a better idea of what these things will sell for, because you kind of follow along, and now you can go flip your own house. And so you have that money, that $60,000, $70,000 set aside, or 100 or whatever. And then you can go do it yourself. So you find this deal and you're like, that's a good deal. I think I can make $40,000 on this deal, and all I have to do is put $20,000 into it, and I fix it up, and then I can sell it. Well, that's great. Now you have money to go do it. You can go get a hard money loan from a company, and you have money to put down. So you have a down payment, you have money for the rehab, and then all of a sudden, now you're made $40,000. Now all you have to do is 3 flips a year. So the key to this story really is the guys that add the most value right now in this market. Money is everywhere. There's so much money out there. It's unbelievable. So money needs to find a home. That's one thing about money and capital. It has to find a home because it wants to work. It wants to grow. It wants to, the little kid dollars want to go to work and be put into something that's going to generate yield. So the most important thing in this market right now is finding the deal. Inventory is so slim, the lowest it's been ever recorded. Right now, the deal is the most important thing. So you're building a skill that is the most valuable skill right now. And so, and along the way, so you're calling these people and you're going back and you're listening to your phone calls so you can critique yourself. I did this for the first couple of years. I listened to probably 2,000 of my own phone calls, and I'm like, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or I shouldn't have said this, or I should have shut up, or whatever. And so you're getting better as you're going, and you're only putting time. You're not losing a ton of money because you're only putting time. And that's the thing is, if you want to have a great life and do extraordinary things or do make more money, you got to do what others won't. So this is going to take hard work and time. You might get a deal in the first month. It might take 6 months, but you will get it. If you do this, I promise you, money back guaranteed that you get a deal, even though you're not paying me any money, but you will get a deal if you stay consistent and do this for a couple of days, 3-4 days a week. You call people. So then you're off to the races. Then you start flipping and you get a couple properties and learn a little bit more, and you learn how to fix properties and houses. Now you say you have $200,000 in that account because you still haven't spent that money. You're just putting it back into your investment account, right? And then you go buy a rental. You go buy one of these properties and you keep them as a rental or a duplex or a fourplex or a small apartment building. It's a snowballs on itself. And as you guys have probably heard us talking, is we bought 37 doors last year, which we added from 6 that we had over the other years. So like we went from 6 to like 41 plus a commercial building. I just tied up another 24 units. So we're going to go from 41, if we close on this, to 65. Like it snowballs on itself, but like you just got to get the ball rolling. That's really the whole thing. So now you're off to the races. Now you can have some more money to spend more money on direct mail, maybe some high quality direct mail. You can do a little bit more marketing, whatever, or you can look at different, bigger, better deals. So really, guys, it's not that hard to make an extra $100,000 a year in concept. It's hard in putting the effort in and doing it for that 10 to 15 hours every week. But if you're working 40 hours a week, you can do it. I did this working 70 hours a week and doing another 20 or 30 hours a week on the real estate. You can do this. If you have young kids, I understand it's hard, but again, an hour a day or an hour and a half a day to do this, is that worth maybe not having to work for 45 years, or until you're 65? Like how much more time will you get to spend with your kids? Like if you have more money or go on more vacations, and you can be more intentional. If you build this life, the rewards are there. So I guarantee most people are spending an hour a day sitting there watching TV, watching Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, things like that. If you're spending that time doing that, you can make time for this. So don't let your mind say, oh, I'm going to take away from my kids or my family or this. Unless you're working 100 hours a week and all available time, you're either sleeping or spending it with your family, you have time. So that's how it goes. And I get emails and calls from people all the time that I've given this advice to, that have called us about using our call center. We hop on a call. They're not a good fit for us yet. I give them this advice. Every week, every 2 weeks, I'm getting somebody saying, hey, I locked up my first deal. Hey, I just made $20,000. Hey, I'm looking at these deals now. Thank you so much. Asking me for a little bit more advice. You can do this. So hopefully you guys get a lot out of this. It's a shorter episode, not an interview. We're going to have a great interview next week, but it really is that simple. And so go on my Instagram. I have more content there. You're learning if you're listening to this show every week, you're getting sales training with listening to phone calls. You're learning how to have those conversations. If you need to get a little bit more comfortable on the phone, you can go by negotiating with sellers. I listened to that freaking 3 or 4 times when I first got started. It's not that much money. It's $500, but it's a bunch of recorded calls of like how to handle this type of seller, or this type of person, or how do you do this, or how do you do that? How do you do this? And so it's like the cheapest way to get in there and actually hear real calls. And you can also listen to them here every week with people that I know, or with me doing it, or things like that. But you're into this thing so minimal. And I think you can be successful doing this business anywhere in the country. Any person can do it. You just got to want it. So have a great week, guys. Go take some action. Nobody's going to give you your dreams. You got to go take your dreams. So get out there and shoot us a message on Instagram on the Real Dealz podcast, or at Elliott Smith REI. Let me know how it worked for you. and can't wait to hear your success stories. All right, have a great day.